Hello everybody and welcome to ANEXIS TV. This is Knight, and here we have eEriness versus ANEXIS, live from the Prague Challenge, obviously in Prague, in the Czech Republic. So this is going to be ANEXIS' fourth game. Obviously their third game is also on Mirage, their fourth game is also going to be on Mirage, so why not? And we're obviously going to have the pistol round. eEriness won the knife round, and they chose to stay as the counter-terrorists, so let's see what they can make of it, as well as what ANEXIS can make of it. So it looks like Lucas is going to be playing B with Bordel, so a 2-1-2 split, but it looks like the terrorists are going to try and make their way A. So let's have a look at what HUDG is going to do as he tries to push mid here with his Glock. He's already spotted one of the CTs, because the Ts will start pushing now. Shots being fired left, right and centre. Pushing CT spawn, trying to take down that CT, hiding behind the boxes, and the CTs will start to rotate. MX with the first kill of the round. Jiri returns a favour. Ice kills MX, HUDG onto the head of Jiri, and it's 3-on-3 now. The bomb does have to go down, 59 seconds remaining, and Rattlesnake will plant the bomb after a very, very nice headshot onto Ice. So 3 versus 2 in favour of the terrorists, namely ANEXIS. Bordel knows exactly where HUDG is, takes him down, he's going to start to push. He's been flashed, he knows where the other terrorist is. No, he doesn't. 2 versus 2 now, 2 versus 1. Lucas takes down Rattlesnake. Now it's going to be, it's all down to Release, all down to Lucas for eEriness. So he fakes the defuse, he's going to get pushed by Release. Lucas takes him down. Very good shot there by Lucas. Does he have enough time to defuse the bomb? I'll tell you what, that's going to be a close one, but he'll get it in the end. Yeah, my prediction there was correct, and it's going to be 1-0 to the home side. The home side mainly because they are from the Czech Republic, and obviously this is the Prague Challenge, so probably not the start ANEXIS had in mind. Mirage as a whole used to be known as the CPL Strike on Counter-Strike Source. Pretty sure it was known as the same thing on 1.6 as well. Apparently they had to change the name due to licensing issues or something along those lines. So let's see what's going to happen here. It looks like we're going to have an underground push from the ANEXIS side, making their way up mid and probably into the A bomb site through mid. But Nesic has popped up in mid, so he'll either get a spray down or he'll probably get taken down by ANEXIS. Good made there by the eEriness player so far. It's a very, very slow round. Not much to comment on. Just waiting to see who will make the first move. Nesic makes the first move onto Rattlesnake with his FAMAS. ANEXIS being shot left, right and centre from 360 degrees. And down goes the final ANEXIS player, HUDG. So, not a very successful eco round there for the Brits. Could probably roughly tell what they wanted to do, but unfortunately for them, they were probably a little bit too slow, or they quite simply got caught out. eEriness played rather aggro, knowing they obviously had the guns. They won the pistol round, which obviously gave them a financial advantage. Anyways, Release pushes mid, takes down Nesic with a very nice shot there. He is on 8 HP himself, so he is hurt. It's almost a death for both sides there. But anyways, eEriness find themselves one man down. Rattlesnake, we've seen him pull off quite a few nice AK shots throughout this whole tournament. So let's see what he can do, not only for the remainder of this round, but for the remainder of the game. So far, Jiri top fragging for his side, and Rattlesnake and HUDG on level terms for ANEXIS. Rattlesnake peeking into that A-bomb site. Looks like MX is going to try and... Oh no, Rattlesnake is going to boost MX into apps, and obviously that is a boost that is utilised by a lot of teams. Lucas playing rather ninja at the B-bomb site, and so far so quiet. ANEXIS trying to not give much away. Bordel kills Release. He is short. Uzi making his way into the A-bomb site. Obviously, I think he would want to wait for some of his teammates, and that is why he shouldn't have gone in by himself. Jiri took him down. MX going big with 2. Well done, MX. Turned this 4 versus 2 into a 2 versus 2, and that is the quality these players possess. And that is why you can't give players like MX an AK-47. But anyways, 2-on-2 now. Bordel will throw that flash into the bomb site. Ends up flashing himself, but he's still going strong. Looking for that last terrorist. Rattlesnake takes him down. One more terrorist to go. Can Lucas pull this one off? Being shot from the left. He's being shot from the right. He's surrounded. Can he do it? He takes down Rattlesnake. Can he take down MX as well? He's going to start defusing. 3, 2, 1. And MX there just in the nick of time. The bomb will go off. MX falls to his death, but he doesn't care. He's a suicide bomber. He wants that bomb to go off after it's planted. That is the aim for the terrorists. He won't mind having one death on the scoreboard. Counter-Strike Source, or not Counter-Strike Source, Counter-Strike Global Offensive is a team game. Anyway, so far, a very, very even match on a very, very even map. The CT's on their deco. Let's Dance takes down Hoods G, sat in a surprising position. Let's Dance with 2. Can he get the third? He does! Let's Dance with a 3-man with that little shotgun of his. Good, well played, but Husey and Rattlesnake even out the numbers using their AKs. And now, despite Ice Dance having an AK, he is unfortunately on 29 HP. It's Rattlesnake and Husey versus Lucas and Ice. So Lucas playing the B-bomb site, because obviously there are 2 bomb sites on this map, even though we haven't seen much of the B-bomb site so far. Husey playing in apps. Where's Rattlesnake? Rattlesnake looks like he's going to try and push onto this A-bomb site through mid. So Ice probably playing it smart. He's got his eye on apps, playing from CT spawn. What that'll allow him to do is fall back just in case he is pushed. He has spotted Husey though, so we'll most likely see Lucas rotating, and yes, that is what we're seeing. So Lucas rotating through mid connector as the push onto the A-bomb site begins. Now, what can ANEXIS do here? Snake, I think, knows exactly where one of the CTs is. Spots another one. Can he take him down? All he can see is the top of his head. No, he cannot. But the good thing now is that ANEXIS knows exactly where he is. The bomb still has to go down, though. 10 seconds. Rattlesnake has just realised. 9 seconds to go. The bomb is going to have to go down. I think we're going to see Ice push Rattlesnake now, but he's too slow. He can't take Rattlesnake down, and the bomb is down. Rattlesnake takes Ice down. Lucas returns the favour. And I never realised Lucas took release down, and there's the defuse. So it's going to be 3-1 to eEriness on home soil, of course. Well played by Lucas. 2 kills this round. And a defuse, so I'm sure he won't complain. So Ice with 6 kills and 3 deaths, topping the scoreboard for eEriness. Not wearing a tag for whatever reason, but yeah. And Rattlesnake topping the scoreboard for ANEXIS with 5 kills and 4 deaths. So 3-1 so far. Looks like we're seeing a deco, or it's more of an eco from ANEXIS. Let's see how they're going to set up. Looks like they're going to go for a quick B push. So let's go and take a look at what Lucas is doing. He is obviously the B player. He throws that nade into apps. Looks like he's going to progress. Bordel obviously also playing B, as eEriness opting for the 2-1-2 split. We know Hoodsy G's there. Lucas doesn't. MX underground, so we could see an apps boost as well. Hoods G and Lucas right in front of each other. Funnily enough, Hoods G fired a random bullet and dealt a bit of damage to Lucas. Now MX and Hughes and release at mid. So far we can't really tell what ANEXIS are trying to do. I think probably waiting for the Czech Republicans to possibly make a mistake, try and get a kill and grab a gun at least before they start pushing into a bomb site. Rattlesnake is pretty much hurt. He's going to push into apps. None of the CTs spotted him, so that's quite poor from the CTs. It's quite slow so far, but anyways, Jiri spots Husey. Nesic with the first kill. Jiri gets 2 in a row. MX and Rattlesnake get dropped. Lucas takes down Hoods G at B. And now it's all down to release him and this pistol of his. So he's going to get pushed from apps, and down he goes. Jiri with his 3rd of the round. Big round by Jiri, very well played by Jiri so far. And ANEXIS, to be fully honest, find themselves in a lot of trouble. 4-1 down here on D Mirage at the Prague Challenge. Can they turn it around? Well, we've seen them a few rounds down before in the 3 previous games, where without a doubt they haven't been at their best, and they have managed to turn it round. So yeah, let's just wait and see what happens. Rattlesnake knows where one of the counter-terrorists are on that short connector at mid. It looks like ANEXIS are preparing for an A push. Rattlesnake just causing problems at mid. Lucas is going to have no one to deal with really. So let's just ANEXIS is quite slow so far. Mirage released with the first kill onto Jiri. Rattlesnake with the second. Where's this going on? They've pushed the A-bomb site. Release making his way onto the A-bomb site now. Shooting through the boxes, trying to catch any hiding counter-terrorists. Let's have a look at one of the CTs who's rotating. Ice is stuck, but Nesic is making his way through mid. He's encountered Release. But he's encountered Rattlesnake, sorry, and Rattlesnake with 2, mixing up Release and Rattlesnake there, but he's not going to get, he's going to grab 2 kills with that AK-47 of his, and he'll think Ice is going to run away to the B-bomb site. He is, he's running away to the B-bomb site, and he's going to look to save this up. The big green gun, obviously, the gun that many Counter-Strike players have grown up to fear. 1 bullet to the head and you're dead, but that applies with a lot of guns. A special thing about the AWP is that 1 bullet anywhere by your legs means a kill, and even if you do get hit in the legs, well, 1 more bullet and you're off to hell. So anyways, 4-2, ANEXIS got that round that we were talking about previously. We said they needed to pull a comeback out of the bag, and by gum they did. So 4-2, and it looks like we're going to see another A push from ANEXIS. They are playing this very, very slow, which obviously does affect the tempo of the game. Release, however, playing relatively fast. He's going to get pushed by one of the CTs in apps. However, I think that flash blinds both of them. MX takes down Jiri. Nesic onto MX with the FAMAS. Release drops down and will plant the bomb. The smokes are deployed on the bomb site, so they can't quite spot him. Release will throw that nade, and I think that will do a lot of damage. It does. Ice now left on 3 HP. 4 versus 4, make that 4 versus 3. Husey takes down Nesic, boom, with a nice grenade. Lucas, Bordel, and Ice now the only CTs alive for the Czech Republicans. So Release still holding the A-bomb site. Let's have a look at what someone else is doing. Husey playing under apps. Ice looks like he's fallen back to save his AWP. Bordel is also falling back to save his M4. And well, eEriness decided not to go for the 3 versus 4. Ice was very heavy tagged. Some would argue it was a good decision, others would have probably gone for it, but that's the choice eEriness made, so I guess we're just going to have to wait now and see whether it was the right choice in the long run. So, talking about comebacks, it's 4-3, so well played ANEXIS, pulling this comeback off, but it's not complete just yet. And obviously the game isn't complete. ANEXIS could go 10-4 up and still lose this game, and that is the beauty of Counter-Strike. Anything can happen. And I think we could be seeing a B fake now from ANEXIS. Reason being, Rattlesnake has the bomb at mid. However, he's peeking, so if they spot him, that could be part of the plan. So he gets hit with that nade. He's going to peek. Spots no one. We obviously know someone's there. He doesn't. All he has to do is shoot through the box. I just hope he can't hear it. Anyways, so Ice AWP in mid for the CTs. And taken down by Release. What a shot! Well played, Release, and that's why you can't give Release an AK-47. And it looks like ANEXIS is going to push Lucas now. Jiri takes down Rattlesnake, but HUDG returns a favour. 3-on-2 now. HUDG playing himself at B, unfortunately with no bomb. However, Husey does have the bomb. Looks like he's going to make his way to the B bomb site through underground. And we know that CT is there. He's not going to make his way through underground, but I'll tell you what, that CT in underground definitely heard him now. So Bordel playing here in apps. Nesic probably didn't hear Husey, actually, otherwise he probably would have followed him. He's playing it safe. Jiri on short. So HUDG at the moment, picking up that bomb that Husey dropped him. And he is going to plant. So Bordel takes down Husey. It's HUDG all by himself now. Takes down Bordel. Can he pull this 3 versus 1 clutch? He's being pushed from many different directions. And the good teamwork by eEriness. Down went HUDG. And it's going to be 5-3 to the home side. So far so good for the home side. ANEXIS not playing too badly either. It's a 50-50 map, really. Probably slightly more CT-sided, some would argue. I guess some would argue it's slightly more T-sided. A bit similar to Divas 2. Many teams argue it's more CT-sided, whilst others argue it's more T-sided. Funnily enough, the opinion seems to vary depending on where you are in the world. But anyways, that's irrelevant for now. Let's see what's going to happen here then. So both teams on a bye round. MX making his way up towards apps. Towards that A-bomb site. So I think we're going to see an A push. Release as well, along with MX. And hang on a second, what have we got here? We've got a Molotov. It's not very often we see him using competitive play, but Release probably knows what he's doing as he throws it down. No, Jiri takes him down. MX takes down Jiri. Fusey and Rattlesnake with 2 quick kills onto Nesic and Bordel. And now this push has begun. Lucas and Ice, the only CTs left for eEriness, as the bomb will go down on this A bomb site. You see, the rounds go so slow for ANEXIS, and then all of a sudden they just jump on you. They jump on the A bomb site and they explode on you and do what we just saw just there. So Rattlesnake will take down Lucas. Rattlesnake, I'll tell you what, a lovely shot by his AK-47. He's been very good with his AK-47. We haven't seen him AWPing much. He is obviously known in the Counter-Strike world for his world-famous AWP, particularly in Source, and I think he knows exactly where Ice is coming from. Takes him down. Well played, Rattlesnake. The captain of the team, obviously, getting the job done. And 5-4 ANEXIS. So, I'm not quite sure what the significance of Release's Molotov was there. But it got the job done in the end, so even though it cost an arm and a leg, it won the round, so why not? I think the main reason he threw that, I'm not a Counter-Strike expert, is to basically scare the counter-terrorists and make him fall back. But anyways, we're seeing a deco from the CTs here. So let's track Nesic with this fancy shotgun of his. Ice takes down G with a pistol. MX onto Ice. Release takes down Jiri. And Nesic will probably fall to his death now after that nade explodes all over him. Lucas takes down Rattlesnake. Nesic still stuck in CT spawn with that shotgun. UZ finishes him off. And Bordel is the only CT left alive. Quick rounds by ANEXIS. I like it. With Bordel, they've heard him. And down he will go. No, he won't actually. He's picked up that AK. Can he take Rattlesnake down? He can. But MX is there to cover for his defeated captain. And it is 5-5. So the comeback is almost on. Very, very close game so far. eEriness won the pistol round. That gave them a few rounds advantage. But now ANEXIS have their hands on real weapons. We're starting to see what we've all become accustomed to see from this ANEXIS lineup. Obviously consisting of Rattlesnake, QZ, HUD-G, Release, and MXAX, Dignitas players, and X-Epsilon players, and X-MTW players. I don't think any of them need any introduction. UZ there gets the 3rd kill of the round. Can we make it 4? Nesic is the only CT left alive now with this fancy shotgun of his as he's hiding on the A bomb site. Like a bit of a ninja. Can he take UZ down? No, he cannot. Didn't work in his favour there. He sort of popped out and unfortunately for him, MX was right in his face. So the comeback has been completed, but anything can change now. So 6-5 to the Brits here on DE Mirage in the Prague Challenge. So let's have a look at the scoreboard. Jiri still topping it for his team, 9 kills, 8 deaths. We have seen some very nice shots by Jiri, as we said, mainly using his M4. Rattlesnake still topping the scoreboard for ANEXIS. MX and Husey not too far behind. HUD-G, however, along with Release in a negative KD ratio. But again, it's a team game. Release drops Lucas after Lucas drop Release's teammate HUD-G. The bomb is going to go down. It's probably the first proper beat push we've seen from ANEXIS in a very long time. Bordel has an AWP, but I think he'll struggle to try and retake the bomb site with an AWP. That's the problem with AWPs. It's always very hard to retake bomb sites when you've got AWPs. Down goes Bordel with a due to Release's nade. MX takes down Nesic. Jiri and Ice have actually pushed in and evened it out now, so 2 versus 2. They know where one of the T's is, namely MX, Husey as well. MX takes down Ice, and it's all down to Jiri, the top fragger for eEriness, probably their better player so far. He spots Hughes, takes him down. Can he take MX down now? Can he? He's hurt him hard. Yes, he can. Well played, Jiri. But he has no defuse kit, and he's going to have to fall back. Unlucky Jiri. He's definitely been eEriness' man of the match so far. He got 3 kills that round, pulled the 2 versus 1 clutch shot, but didn't have the defuse kit to defuse the bomb. And unfortunately for him, that's why the defuse kit is so important. You know, you can kill all the terrorists, but if they've got the bomb down and you can't defuse it, well, you're going to lose the round anyway. So, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. So we're seeing a deco now from the CTs. Let's watch Jiri. He has played very well, so he probably grab a kill. Actually, I spoke too soon. Uzi took him down. MX spots one of the CTs on short. They probably realised by now that it is a deco from the counter-terrorists. So on paper we should really see ANEXIS win this one. HUD-G preparing in the upper apps area, throws that nade. Won't do damage to anybody. We've got Hughes and MX take down Ice and Nesic as they push on this A-bomb site. We're seeing quiet rounds from ANEXIS, but before you know it, they just explode all over the bomb sites and take down every living counter-terrorist they see. But hopefully we'll see something similar from eEriness once they're the terrorists. So Lucas and Bordel now. Bordel takes down MX, making it 4 versus 2. There's Bordel. Going to pick up that AK-47. However, he has been spotted by Release and will run away. So Lucas on 14 HP. Bordel on 33 HP. Lucas is probably going to get pushed now. And down he goes. So Bordel picked up an AK. He's probably going to save it. Probably the smart choice. He's going to get pushed by Rattlesnake. Well, he can't take him down. And Rattlesnake with a lovely shot onto Bordel. Down he goes, 8-5. Now, things are getting interesting here on D Mirage at the Prague Challenge. Obviously, this is ANEXIS and eEriness, both their 4th games. Obviously, the fact that they're in their 4th game means that they obviously emerged victorious in all their previous 3 games. So, this is a best of 3. I do believe the next map will be Nuke, for those who aren't aware. I'm not quite sure how they decided on the fact that it would be Nuke, but it is going to be Nuke. So yeah, anyways, it looks like we're going to see a B push now. Obviously, we haven't seen many B pushes so far. Actually, it could be a fake Release. Sneaking into that B apps area can actually cause problems for the CTs if they do decide to push. Now, we can see Bordel there. Release obviously doesn't know he's there. I think Release can hear him. MX is making his way from underground. Let's see what Release is going to do here. I've got my eye on him. I think he can grab a kill here. No, he can't. That's quite poor from Release, to be fully honest. Especially when you consider what we've become accustomed to seeing from him. Looks like the rest of the T's are going to make their way into the B-bomb site. Release playing it a bit slow now. Come on, Release. Going to move on. Anyways, back to the other guys. So Hugs G and the rest of the boys making their way towards B. Rattlesnake drops Lucas. Beautiful shot by Rattlesnake as usual. He's just popping heads at the moment with his AK-47s. MX takes down Bordel. And now 3 versus 3, but ANEXIS hurts Rattlesnake on 7 HP, Husey on 13, Hugs G on 28. So anything can happen. What's important now though is the bomb goes down. So Rattlesnake is all by himself actually. The rest of his teammates went down to the M4s of eEriness. So Rattlesnake is going to try and plant, but fell right into the trap of eEriness, and Jiri took him down. Played by Rattlesnake and 8-6. And can eEriness produce a comeback now? Well, on paper they can't because it's MR15. And for those of you guys who aren't familiar with MR15, that means max round 15, which means every half in this game is going to consist of 15 rounds. So technically 8 plus 7 is 15. After this round, we're going to see a half swap, which means that eEriness can't beat ANEXIS' tally of 8. But I think ANEXIS will be disappointed, to be fully honest. But anyways, Rattlesnake has been tagged after he tried to do a quick AWP push onto A. But it looks like we're going to see a mid-A split from ANEXIS. Bordel encountering some resistance at mid, but he's going to fall back and play it cool. Lucas playing B by himself. And so far, we've seen what we've got used to seeing from ANEXIS. Molotov onto Bordel, doesn't deal any damage, but it definitely keeps him off short, prevents him from being able to push and flank the terrorists at mid. There's G boosts Release into apps, so let's go and see what Release is off to do. Hasn't jumped into apps just yet. Very, very slow from ANEXIS so far. Down goes Release. The CTs were anticipating it. They dropped him. That's 3 Ts down. Rattlesnake all by himself. Bye bye Rattlesnake. He gets killed by Jiri. So well played by Jiri, and 8-7 to eEriness as they increase their tally to 7 in this first half. So whoever wins this game will obviously have to win the next map to progress in the tournament. If they don't win the next map, then we're going to have a third and decider map, with it being a best of 3 game. So I'm not quite sure what the third map would be, the decider map obviously, assuming ANEXIS win this one for example, and eEriness win on Nuke. I'm not quite sure what the third map will be, but I think it will be something standard like DDoS 2 or Inferno. But anyways, let's have a look at what's going on. Let's have a look at how the ANEXIS CT lineup varies from how eEriness were playing. Funnily enough, it's quite similar. We're still seeing the same 2-1-2 split. It's more of a 2-2-2 split because Rattlesnake was playing short with Hughes. Was playing A, sorry, with Husey, but now he has fallen back to mid. So it looks like we're going to see an A push from the Czech Republicans. They prepare push this A bomb site now with their Glocks, pistols going left, right, and centre. Smokes dispersed all over the map. As Ice starts pushing, Yuzi has been spotted trying to jump on top of the boxes. No kills just yet, and there is the opening kill of the round. Lucas takes down Rattlesnake. Now, what can we see now? The bomb has gone down, and the T's are just suppressing ANEXIS at the moment. And the flash goes in. We could see an ANEXIS push to try and retake this bomb site now. However, they are surrounded. Ice, we can see him shooting that Glock. Lucas with his second for the round. And it's now Husey left alive. He took down Lucas and Nesic. Well played by Husey, but it wasn't enough. And eEriness, well, talking about comebacks, they produced one of their own. It's 8-8 so far. And still anybody's game. We'll see eEriness. That's 2 pistol rounds they've won in this game so far. So, on paper, when you give away a pistol round, you technically give away another round because you should have better weapons than your opposition, if that makes sense. Well, those of you guys who are familiar with how the economy works on Counter-Strike will understand what I'm talking about. But anyways, Bordel with his FAMAS, with his Galil, lovely shot onto ANEXIS, onto MX there, onto ANEXIS. Oh dear. Anyways, Bordel playing mid by himself. It looks like the rest of the T's have made their way towards B. Release, heavy tag. However, he will drop Lucas. Very nice shot. We're seeing some good headshots so far in this half. And good nade by Ice. And now it leaves Rattlesnake, Hughes, and Hoods G alone on this map. So 3 vs 4 Rattlesnake. What's Rattlesnake going to do? Is he just going to play ninja, or is he going to push? Actually, he pushed at the wrong time, and Jiri dropped him. And now it's all down to Hughes and Hoods G. So there we have it. The bomb has been planted. Down goes Bordel, trying to flank ANEXIS from behind. And I think we're going to see Husey pick up that Galil and save. So, why not? Not a bad decision. As the bomb is ticking. I'm not quite sure what Hoods G is trying to save, to be fully honest. But then again, he's not really going to infiltrate and defuse the whole bomb. Infiltrate the bomb site and defuse the bomb all by himself with that little pistol. Well, he could do. We know how good he is, but I definitely wouldn't be putting any money on it. But anyways, let's focus again. eEriness 9, ANEXIS 8. So, not going according to plan for the Brits. I'm pretty sure the Czech Republicans are overjoyed with the score at the moment. So we've seen a FAMAS buy from ANEXIS. They know they have to win a round now on this second half. And they're going to play relatively aggro. Rattlesnake pushes down mid, drops Nesic, so fair play to him. But it looks like we're going to see a B push anyways. Release on the B bomb site drops Lucas. Where are you, Release? Can't find you. Down goes Jiri to Release's FAMAS once again. So 2 kills so far for Release, and he's totally annihilated eEriness trying to get onto that B bomb site. No one can get onto the B bomb site when Release is in there. So, what we've seen now from the T's, they're still going to try and make their way into B. Release is tagged on 43 HP. They're still trying to go through the same route. You'd think they would have learnt their lesson by now. Release falling back, playing slightly more defensive. So let's see what he can do. Playing that angle there. And down goes Bordel. So 3 for Release. Can he make it 4? He knows where the other terrorist is. Can Release make it 4? Ice playing relatively defensive. MX also on the B bomb site to help Release out should he require it. Release shooting, but MX got the kill at the end. Thanks to a lot of help from Release. Almost a 4-man for Release, but I don't think he'll mind. It is a team game, 9-9. So eEriness completed the comeback, and now ANEXIS start their road to the comeback. So round 19 here, and it's 9-9. Obviously, the first team to get 16 rounds on the board will claim victory in this first map here on D Mirage at the Prague Challenge. So let's take a look at the scoreboard now for the second half. MX actually toppling Rattlesnake, 14 kills to 12 deaths. Only toppling it the fact that he has 2 more assists. But anyway, let's concentrate on the game, then we'll concentrate on the scoreboard. Jiri with the first kill onto Rattlesnake off of that A-bomb site. He played rather aggro from the apps area and got the job done, to be fully honest. Anyways, Jiri staying in apps, MX playing short, Release playing relatively aggressive, pushing mid. Will he take down Lucas? No, he won't. That's quite disappointing from Release. Probably expect better from him. Anyways, it looks like we're going to have an A push. What a shot by Let's Dance there, by Ice, sorry. Damn these names. Anyways, Yuzi now is forced to try and retake this bomb site. He's playing it relatively defensive, and it's 5 versus 2. So are we going to see ANEXIS even attempt to retake? Jiri spots Yuzi. Yuzi takes him down. See you later. But it looks like MX and Yuzi are just going to play this from a distance. They know that they probably can't hit that bomb site and retake it. So they're probably just going to try and take some exit frags here and there and try and make sure that some of the terrorists lose some of their AKs. Or even better for ANEXIS, try and pick up some of the terrorists' AKs, because obviously the AK-47 is a much better gun than the FAMAS. And the bomb timer increases. But anyways, going back, oh, hang on a second. Is Ice going to kill MX? MX throws that nade with the flash, and both players don't want to die, so none of them pushing each other. But anyways, back to the scoreboard. MX with 14 kills, 12 deaths, leading it for ANEXIS. Rattlesnake with 14 kills, 13 deaths, followed by Release, Yuzi, and HUDG. HUDG definitely not having the best game of his life. 5 kills for 14 deaths, but I'm sure he'll turn it around. So Jiri, once again, the star player, in my opinion, for eEriness, pulled off a very nice 2 versus 1 clutch. 19 kills, 11 deaths. So let's take a look at what's happening. So it looks like we're going to see a B-sided push from eEriness. However, 3 players at mid, so they're definitely taking their time. So this map is very small, a lot of close quarters. Really, a B push could turn into an A push in a click of your fingers. So anyways, 10-9 to eEriness now. And we're seeing them employ a bit of an ANEXIS now, eEriness, taking their time. We're probably going to see a very, very quick push into the bomb site. Now, Nesic sees the leg of Rattlesnake. Rattlesnake is going to have to fall down. You can tell Rattlesnake doesn't normally play B. Made a mistake there. Lucas takes down Release. Rattlesnake, they know exactly where he is, but the thing is, they need to take him down. Rattlesnake has an up. Will he go down? He will now. Nesic takes him down. Bye-bye, Rattlesnake. 2 versus 2. So Nesic and Bordel against Yuzi. And what was MX is now a dead body. So the bomb is down on B. Yuzi holding that shift button, playing it quiet. He's going to make his way through up. So I don't think they're expecting him to come through there. Yuzi knows where some of the T's are, more or less on their positions. He knows at least where Nesic is. But can he get the job done? No, he can't. He's going to fall back. It's quite disappointing. I would have thought that Yuzi probably would have had the quality to maybe even take that on. But then again, I don't know what ANEXIS' finances are like. Let's have a look. Actually, they are pretty much so. Probably a good choice by Yuzi to actually save onto that M4, because obviously in Counter-Strike your money belongs to your team, really. There's not much point one player buying an M4 and the rest of your team being on submachine guns. Well, you know, the M4's going to waste. But anyways, we're seeing a deco. Bar uses M4 so far, and it looks like, hang on, let's go and have a look at what the CTs are doing. They're pushing up mid, so let's see what Ice can do. He's going to fall back. Oh, it's disappointing. But anyways, CT's falling back onto the A bomb site. Down goes Rattlesnake to Bordel's AK-47. And let's have a look at this push here then. Bordel spots what I believe is Release. I can't quite read it at the moment. I've got to have my glasses on. HUDG takes down Bordel with that very nice pistol shot. And Nesic returns a favour onto HUDG. So 4 versus 3 now in favour of eEriness, in favour of the terrorists. That nade is going to be thrown. Release obviously on 6 HP, but the nade, fortunately for him, dodged him. So the bomb will go down thanks to Nesic. Lucas takes down MX somewhere else on the map and gets his second onto Yuzi. So what can Release do with only this pistol and 6 HP? Can we see a 4 versus 1 clutch? And maybe we might actually. He takes down Jiri with a lovely shot onto his head, but Ice had something else up his sleeve. So down went Release, and 12-9. Oh dear, to eEriness. I don't think that was the result everyone was expecting. And ANEXIS starting to smell the bacon, and they're buying everything they can now. They know that they can't give away this first map to eEriness. So we've got a few FAMASes. We've got Rattlesnake with his AWP. Let's have a look at what he's doing at mid. Where is he playing? He's playing on top of the boxes, I see. So he will have called now that no terrorists have made their way into mid. Where are the rest of the terrorists? Lucas just playing around at B, but it looks like Nesic has the bomb, so let's go and follow him and see what's going on. Yuzi, you can see there on the right side of the screen, playing relatively aggressive, so if anyone tries to push connector, well, Yuzi's in trouble. I mean, the player who pushes is in trouble from Yuzi, and there we have it. Yuzi took down Lucas, but Yuzi was dropped himself, so 3 versus 1. Nesic with the bomb, being the only terrorist alive, so I think he's going to hide. Can't really pull this one off, can he? 16 HP. 48 seconds to go. Making his way through apps. G, however, is waiting for him. We know that. He doesn't. And no, it doesn't look like he's going to try, even attempt, to push the bomb site. As the clock will continue to tick here on DE Mirage. So I don't think eEriness will really feel too downhearted for giving away this round, or the round that is going to finish. He'll obviously still leave him 12-10 ahead. Nesic obviously holding on to that AK, and obviously AKs are a lot cheaper than M4s, so it's always easier to buy for terrorists. Let's have a look at how eEriness' money is. It should be able to buy AKs. Let's have a look. It's going to be tight for Lucas and Bordel actually, but Nesic and Ice both have a lot of money, around $6,000 each. So, assuming they drop each one drops an AK for their teammate, then eEriness should be on a buy round, and that is indeed what we're seeing. So, seeing two going B, the same 2-1-2 setup. Let's have a look at what the terrorists are going to do again. We've seen the same thing from eEriness. Quite repetitive, this map. We're not seeing a lot of stuff done differently. It's just a matter of get on that bomb site, spray the hell out of the boxes, and get the job done, really. It looks like we're going to have an A push now. Actually, it looks like they've fallen back. No, they haven't. Jiri is going to drop down onto that bomb site, looking. Actually, he just missed Hug G there, and that miss was led to Jiri having to pay the price as Hug G took him down. Nesic onto Hug G. 3 versus 3 now. ANEXIS spotted, rotating through mid. So, this could be interesting. Who's going to attack first? Who's going to peek first? Both players heavily tagged. Lucas on 36 HP, both Nesic and Bordel on 25. Release is the only player on full HP, so the bomb still hasn't gone down. Nesic will peek that angle and take down Rattlesnake. Good shot there by Nesic. Let's have a look at what Release can do. Oh, he's dropped by Nesic, and we could see... Ooh, MX takes down Bordel. Now it's 2 versus 1. The bomb is going to go down. What can MX do here? Let's have a look. He's spraying those boxes, knowing that the bomb is going down. He heard it, but can he pull this 2 versus 1 clutch off now? We saw a very similar situation when Jiri pulled off the clutch. Alright guys, welcome back to ANEXIS TV. Apologies about that. They had some technical difficulties at the LAN. I believe the server crashed, something along those lines. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure what the score is, but we'll just carry on as it stands, because as you can see, they've had to restart. So I believe each team are going to get given around 8,000 coins. 8,000 coins, why do I keep saying coins? Anyways, back to the game here. So we're seeing the same 2-1-2 split we've seen before, not much changing. Both teams, I believe, were on a buy round, so the economy isn't ruined, if you will. Jiri hanging out in the apps area, as we've seen him do quite a bit so far during this entire half as a terrorist for eEriness. Tell you what, that restart completely ruined the momentum of the game. Anyways, come on, we want to see some action. Let's try and put this game back to life. It's G and Rattlesnake preparing for what could be an A push. Release with the first kill onto Lucas. Obviously, we know Lucas just plays B by himself, and Release actually is pushed B, so he'll call to his teammates now. There's no one else B, and we are starting to see this A push. Husey hitting Hudge G in the face there. Not quite sure what he's trying to do. Husey takes down 2. Rattlesnake drops Ice. I think Husey panicking a little bit there, shooting Hudge G in the face, but fortunately for him, Hudge G still survived. So 1-0 ANEXIS. Not too many rounds to go now. So far, ANEXIS in the lead, I believe. I think it was 12-10 to eEriness when the server crashed. I think a few rounds may have been played, I'm not quite sure. But it's not the first time we see the server crash here at the Prague Challenge. Let's just hope that we don't see it happening more often. anyways, let's try and get back into the momentum of things. Bordel playing mid by himself. Obviously, the fact that there was a restart completely ruined the economy. Now we see the terrorists, who probably would have been able to buy despite losing a round last time, have to eco, unfortunately. So that's going to give ANEXIS a huge advantage. Release absolutely demolishing Lucas every time Lucas attempts to go B. So that's really a cheap death for eEriness. Sometimes being a man in front, even if he's on 1 HP and on paper completely useless, it can be a big mental advantage to your team. But anyways, looks like we're going to see a B push here from eEriness. eEriness message takes down Release. MX holding the back of that bomb site. He's being tagged, but he still is on 88 HP, and he does have an AK as opposed to the Glocks that the terrorists possess. So Husey comes from behind to take down Ice. Message drops Rattlesnake. And it's 2 versus 1. MX throws that smoke, starts defusing. Jury takes down HuzG. Can he take down MX? No, he cannot. And very well played by MX, I think it has to be said. And drops Jury there in the end. Placed that smoke in a very nice strategic place and started the defuse. And to be fully honest, Jury with a Glock, he knew where the bomb was, but he couldn't do that much damage. And it's 2-0 to ANEXIS after this map crash, restart, server crash, whatever you want to call it. But anyways, we're going to see a push from the terrorists. HuzG, I think AWPing, or auto-snipering, decided not to shoot when he saw terrorists there. See, HuzG, like we said before, he's not having the best game of his career. He still isn't having the best game of his career after the server was restarted. Jiri and Nasic topping the scoreboards for eEriness. But again, obviously all scores were reset, which is why we're comparing to what the scores were before. MX with the first kill of the round onto Lucas at mid. Lucas dying a lot. It has to be said. He's meant to be that player who just go to the other bomb site just to try and hold back the rotation a little bit, but I'll tell you what, he's not doing a very good job of it. Anyways, HuzG with 2 kills with his auto-sniper. Well played, HuzG. I'll tell you what, I think he heard me saying he was playing poorly. Can he get the third? He's trying to no-scope him. The bomb will go down. As the CTs pretty much surround this final counter, this final terrorist, and HuzG does get the no-scope with the auto-sniper in the end. Funnily enough, onto the head of Jiri. And well played, HuzG. I'll tell you what, he's played poor during the whole game, but that round by itself makes up for it with the auto-sniper. 3 kills by HuzG with the auto-sniper. Obviously, the auto-sniper now, I believe, in CSGO has become a decent sniper rifle, really. Not probably equivalent to the AWP, but I think it is still used in competitive gameplay. Counter-Strike Source, if you are spotted using an auto-sniper, you just get laughed at. But anyways, so 3-0 to ANEXIS, and it's not looking good for eEriness despite having a good shot by Jiri with the 1 dig there onto MX at mid. I'll tell you what, you'll be happy with that, and Rattlesnake returns a favour by taking him down. Bordel knows exactly where Rattle is, and he is playing it defensive now. Looks like the rest of the T's preparing for a B push. Rattlesnake has Lucas in his back pocket, as we've seen so far after this restart. Lucas probably needs to get something on the board. HuzG with another beautiful auto-sniper kill. Just no-scoping everywhere. Husey onto Nesic, and now it's just Ice all by himself. So, really, I do feel sorry for eEriness. I think the server crash really, in a way, ruined their momentum, has really put them at a disadvantage. It's a bit similar to any sport, really, I would guess. Similar to football. You know, if you're playing football as a team and you're passing and you got your tempo going, and then all of a sudden, for example, a foul happens and you have to wait a good 2 or 3 minutes. It just completely ruins the tempo and everything for your team. And the same applies for Counter-Strike. eEriness were more or less in the gist of it, playing very well, obviously, probably playing slightly better than ANEXIS. And unfortunately, the server crashed. So yeah, we're seeing a buy round from eEriness. I thought it was a deco, but I was wrong. Let's see what Ice can do. Is he going to push mid? No, he's not. Looks like we're going to have a quick B push, or at least something more or less B-sided from eEriness. Release preparing himself. HuzG with that first auto-sniper kill onto Nesic on the A-bomb site. And I think we're going to see Rattlesnake and the rest of the CTs play relatively aggro. They've realised no one is at mid, no one's at A. MX, as we said, played more aggro. He spotted one of the terrorists. Can he take him down? No, he cannot. as they're both running away from each other at the moment. And it just looks like eEriness are really just waiting and doing nothing, trying to draw all of ANEXIS' grenades out. I'm probably trying to guess how many players are at each bomb site, where the position of every different player are based. And Rattlesnake with that big kill onto Jiri there with that up. Ice is also going to push short. Can Rattlesnake take him down? Jiri deals damage. Ice knows he's surrounded. Rattlesnake with that other kill onto Ice. Now it's all down to Lucas. So what can he do? He's in the apps area here on the B bomb site. Release knows exactly where he is. He's going to get pushed from behind by Husey. Lucas is going to push him back. Lucas takes him down. Very nice shot. Spots Release. Can't deal enough damage onto him. 37 HP remaining for Lucas. 4 versus 1 now. What can Lucas do here then? Can he pull something out the bag? 20 seconds to go. The bomb is down. Actually, I think Lucas has the bomb. He does have the bomb. He's picked it up. But 17 seconds. I don't think he can make his way onto the bomb site. And now he definitely won't make his way onto the bomb site because he is dead. Thanks to Release's M4. So 5-0 so far to ANEXIS. And I think once ANEXIS get 5, because I know for a fact they had 10 before the restart. If ANEXIS grab 6 rounds, they grab the next round, then that'll leave them with 16, which means it'll be a first map victory for the British side here at the Prague Challenge. So, we see a buy round from the terrorists. No on B side, surprisingly. So, let's go and have a look at what they're doing. HUDG with another auto sniper kill onto Nesic. I'll tell you what, HUDG should play with that auto sniper more often. Anyways, Rattlesnake pushing mid. Probably realised no one's mid. Now all we need is Release to push B, which is what he is going to do. And then they'll realise that no terrorists are actually B. The bomb has been spotted at A anyways. Bordeaux with that shot onto HUDG takes him down. MX and Rattlesnake and Husey with 3 kills. And now it's all down to Lucas. Takes down MX. Can he get this 4 versus 1 clutch? And he encounters Husey. And there are the GGs. And that is full time for this game. And we'll see you guys on map 2 on Nuke for this second map of the Prague Challenge best of 3 game between ANEXIS and eEriness. Thanks for watching.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get started. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, come on. Good morning. Thank you all for being on time. And I hope you had a good time wherever it was that you went last night. I know we saw a bunch of different shows. I wanted to give you a sense of how the day is going to work. For those of you who haven't been here, we use this kind of fishbowl format. And it starts, each topic is introduced by a conversation at the table, and then we break out, and then a different group of people will come to the table around a different topic. The underpinnings of this, if I do the research dramaturgy about it, this is actually a conversation style. Yeah, I have to tell you because I'm going to be self-conscious of it all day. I broke a tooth last night, so I'm going to be like lisping all day. It's fine. I have an appointment at the dentist later, but anyway, you're going to hear me doing that.
Wasn't it? I remember this in Blue Window.
Is that what happened? No, it wasn't. So anyway, this style is something I'm borrowing from a conversation that happens every summer in the near Albuquerque, and it's kind of an amazing meeting of native elders from around the world and Western scientists, and they're trying to map what they call the language of spirit. And so these great minds gather there, and they're Nobel physicists and leaders of all sorts of indigenous communities around the globe, and they sit at a table and they try to find a language bridge between native ways of knowing and Western mind. And they use this thing that David Bohm developed, which is a concept of dialogue. Bohm, as a quantum physicist, believed that conversation actually exists in the universe, and that it's trying to come into our lives, and it comes through, if you have the right people, the conversation that needs to happen comes through that group of people. And it comes through the group of people if we all sit and if we listen closely to what's said, and we listen to what's not said, and if we're the person who has the thing that's not said to contribute, that's when the speaking happens. And so it's a very kind of woo-woo concept, but we've been using it, and it kind of works. And the way that it functions in this setting is that the people at the table, I'll have a prompt, and your job at the table is to try to just feed into that prompt the thing that you know about what we're discussing, the thing that might not otherwise be said. It's not important that everybody speak. It's not important that everybody be at the table. But if we're open to what needs to happen, the conversation will grow up through the table. What happens then is that you on the listening circle, you'll catch the things that aren't contributed by this particular group, and in the breakouts, bring those with you. So, for example, this morning we're going to be talking about the sprawl of the literary office. And so the current range of activities that are comprise what is going on in the literary office. And we talked about it as, do we need a new name? That's a little, it's a little glib. I was a little glib about that. It's because my experience of it is that we're doing so many things that does literary hold it all. But I want to get at this morning, what are all those things? And which are the things that are most important that are related to what literary offices are meant to do? What are the things that need to be done and have just arrived? Jerry Patch talked about it on our phone call before we got started. He talked about the literary office as a kind of magnet, and all these shavings just keep jumping onto it, and it gets fuzzier and fuzzier and fuzzier as it sits there, attracting more and more shavings. So I want to poke a little bit at what those shavings are. And so that's what this group is going to be discussing, what's going on in these institutions, what's going on in your experience of other institutions, and then when we break out, anything that we've left off the table, we've left out at the table should come up into the breakouts. We'll capture that. Janice will have access to all those notes, and ultimately what we should have is a pretty complete discussion of what's going on right now in the world of literary offices and how, so that we can start to identify the things that we want to keep the baby, looking for the baby this morning. All right, any questions about that? We'll go back and forth between the table and listening circle, each of you, and the sun will be with us all day from the looks of things, so sunglasses totally, you know, they're cool with us. Please do it, otherwise it can get painful. And sorry to everybody who's watching online, we're going to be wearing our sunglasses. All right, so off we go. So this first question, and a lot of this comes from, actually I should just go back for my own work, why this is on my mind, how it's been on my mind. When I took over when the Artistic Development Office got created here at Arena Stage, which was actually when Mark Bly left, he had been the senior dramaturg, and the literary office lived in the world of the senior dramaturg. When he left, he wasn't replaced, and all that moved into one department called the Artistic Development Team. And Janine Sobek at the time was you were still the literary fellow at the time.
I was
interim literary manager at that time. So we sat down to try to figure out, well, what are we actually doing? It was new responsibility for me. It was a new role for Janine. And the theater was moving into a whole new set of activities that seemed logical to pull into this office. And we pulled a lot into the office. And so I've been wondering all along what are the appropriate boundaries for what gets pulled into the office. I personally have had a very broad curiosity about the artistic life of the theater and the life of the conversation between the audience and the work on stage. And we've done a lot of work there, and it's in the literary office. I wonder what, if you could talk, John, you're at Woolley, and Woolley also does a tremendous amount of work between the audience and the stage. Is that coming through literary?
It's coming through literary. It's coming through a new department that we've actually created as well that sort of overlaps with literary. That's called Connect, to do with audience.
Overlaps, but is separate from the literary responsibility?
It overlaps, but is separate. And we've realized that connectivity overlaps not only with literary, but also with marketing. And that each of those departments share that we all have dramaturgical responsibilities, we all have connectivity responsibilities, and we all also contribute to marketing in various ways.
And so in your day, you are the literary manager?
I'm the literary manager at Woolley, yeah.
And in your day, in your week, what are the various things that are pulling for your time?
Keeping up relationships with both agents and playwrights is a big part of my time. Reading scripts. It is very script-centric, but it's also relationship-centric, I would say. And then it's also very heavy on sort of scouting work that maybe is more in the devised category of things, as opposed to things that are on the page and are being sent to us by agents or playwrights. So I guess that's my week in a nutshell. I mean, it's, weeks vary in terms of, what I'm actually doing in the office. So.
And what's the bulk of your time spent?
The bulk of my time is probably spent on, I would say, season planning. So script reading and soliciting scripts and maintaining the relationships. Those are what I spend my time doing for the most part during the week. But there are many other responsibilities, of course.
Who's doing the conversations with the audience after the shows?
That's a collaboration that happens, and it's an example of a collaboration that happens between the literary department. So between myself and Miriam, depending on who's the dramaturg on the show, and the connectivity department. And so the idea is that we're creating playbills. We're creating an experience for the audience that includes a lobby experience, the actual show, and then discussions that might happen afterwards or beforehand. So it's really those two departments, the literary and connectivity departments, are tag teaming those responsibilities. And splitting up responsibilities when appropriate and when our interests take us. So for example, my interests with the university scene have led me down various paths working with universities in this community. On other shows, when I'm not the dramaturg, then connectivity sometimes takes up those responsibilities. So that's, yeah.
What's happening at CTG, Joy? Are you the literary associate?
Literary associate.
And how does that job?
It's mostly about reading scripts, season planning, developing work. We have a writers group that I love, that meets monthly. But we are also starting to explore some work about connecting that work to audiences, giving audiences richer ways to kind of dive in. And these are nascent conversations to a certain extent. But I actually believe that the work with the audience, allowing audiences to connect more fully and deeply, giving them ports of entry to the piece, I actually think that that helps us in our season planning work, because I think that I personally believe that we have a lot of conventional wisdom in our field about what constitute risk and what audiences are interested in that I don't believe are accurate, right? I actually think that, very familiar, overly familiar work is risky too. And I think you kind of hear, yowls sometimes from the audience when they encounter unfamiliar work. That might just be certain outspoken people, might not be reflective of the audience as a whole. And I also believe audiences don't like to feel stupid, and sometimes they need permission to have their own experience of a play, to piece together its meaning. They need to know that it's okay if they can't rattle off a thesis about the play immediately afterwards.
And are you, as a literary associate, having to make that okay? Is that part of what you're...
I feel like, yeah, I think that, we, well, I'll tell you where this comes from, is that when I was at Steppenwolf, I ran the post-show discussion program, and I would actually lead the post-show discussions during the preview period of each play. And I could literally see for certain plays that were not the type of work our audience was, expecting to encounter, over the course of the discussion, as they had permission to kind of, experience something that was new, I could see actually their experience of the play changing through conversation. Like the mood of the conversation could totally shift, and it's just about giving that permission. I think ultimately it's the work of the entire theater. I think the work is not just the work on the stage, but it's also how we get people into the theater, how we prepare people for the experience. There's a lot of different ways that we do that. But
what takes up most of your time?
Right now, most of my time is it's reading plays.
And is that coming agent submissions, invitational?
Agent submissions. Yeah. We do have a 10-page open submission policy. It's my intern that reads those plays, those submissions.
Lauren, I want to pull on a playwright here. We haven't yet heard much from playwrights, so represent. What's your experience?
I should put my sunglasses on.
Yeah. What's your experience of the literary office from your role as a playwright?
Yeah, I've actually been making some interesting, well, I find them interesting, just kind of reactions, picking off what people are talking about. I think for me, some of the interesting things, literary managers and dramaturgs, so in production, working as kind of playwright orientation to an institution. So if you're working in a large institution, because it's hard enough to develop a new piece of work. If you're not working with a director you know well, or actors you know well. So it can be you're already working on something new, in a new place, with new people. So how can your team be team-like and get to know each other so that there is the safest place to develop that work, so that playwrights have a bit of kind of insider sneaky information about how it actually works, so that if there is something, God forbid, that's wrong, or there are stressors that are coming out, there's a way to know how to deal with them. Even if that's kind of like, make it seem like it's her idea and it'll happen, like that kind of stuff.
You get in those conversations.
Right, and just, how the coffee maker's weird too, like that stuff is very helpful as well. So I think that's one thing that we haven't talked about, because it might feel more like, I don't know if it's babysitting, but kind of, but that's helpful too. Babysitters are very, very nice as well. So I loved what John was talking about, this connectivity department. I find that really exciting, being a words person, as we all are. I just love that. I think that's the playwrights should be there. That sounds like the department I want to be in. And I think when you talked about lobby experience, what I've been thinking a lot about going into a theater, I mean, and some of them are as beautiful as this building, which kind of is an experience in and of itself. But I wonder how playwrights might be involved in that, the imagineering of that, because that might be, you know, a lot of my plays, say, are science-based, or I'm from the South, and so some of them have this Southern thing, and I can go, here are 3 things that would be awesome if you're doing a play about science, or if you're doing a play about the South, you have to have boiled peanuts in the lobby, or, you know, something that could really give people an extra little, I don't know, buzz, something they can take away. It's not
And right now,
swag-like.
in the places that you've had productions, and you've had a number of them this year, where would you go with that energy? Is that, would you take it to the literary, is your concierge really the literary office?
So 2 of the smaller companies, it would be their ADs. So Rachel May at Synchronicity and Marissa Wolf at Crowded Fire. Their companies are small enough where they are the kind of, they steer things. So I would take to them. And sometimes we've actually worked. We've done some fun stuff. Particularly in Synchronicity, I was involved in their kind of marketing outreach, which got a little bizarre, which was wonderful, and I think perfectly toned to the play we were doing. So that was neat to see that. And then others, yeah, I think it goes through, again, it's that the orienteering that happens with a literary manager too, that can go, I have this idea, I don't know where to go with it. I don't know if it would require 3 levels of board approval or if we can just make it happen. So I think that's great. I also think playwrights have a lot of opinions. Oh, I'm going to speak for all of you, sorry, about marketing. So I would say, I mean, the literary office of the future might be the way for the playwright to say, please God, let me help you pick the logo or the design or the picture or the font, or let me, for Bear, I immediately, and this was actually a writing exercise I was doing while I was trying to find the tone of it anyway, but it ended up writing some what ended up being very useful material to describe the play that a lot of the theaters have used. So the exact phrasing, which, you know, I approve of that. So sure, everybody use it. So I think that's another thing. I've also been thinking about, from a playwright's perspective, the literary department being the source of the invitation, usually, the source of the welcome, and whether that's something as lovely as commissions or development and readings and festivals and all of that, but also this idea of lobby experiencing and all of the experiences around the play. I think playwrights have a heck ton of ideas and opinions about that. I mean, the world started with us, so we get it in a way that maybe there's some side features that we can add, or main features. And one thing that was very impressive to me when I was working with the Kennedy Center was they paid for my earliest ideas. So it wasn't a, here's a commission, or we're thinking about commissioning you, go ahead and write the first 10 pages, or write a big long thing. They actually paid for 3 significant, at least page to 2-page long summaries of brand new ideas. And they gave me actual American money for that. Which I think a lot of the playwrights would agree, that's hard, coming up with the brand new idea. It's not just the time to write the full play. Like, that's the hard work too, is where do I even start, and how am I going to crack into this? And so I really appreciated that.
And that was the end of what they had, their expectation of it? And if they were going to continue with it, they would do something
more? They said, we're hoping to commission you, we're looking for science plays, about science plays for their Theater for Young Audiences departments. So Greg Henry and Peter Kovac were behind that. Yeah, and it was just, here are 3 ideas, and I spent a lot of time on them. And I did, you know, when you're drafting ideas, I just tend to fall into dramatic writing sometimes. Would be a little bit of this, and then here's a couple bits of the song, and then here's one of the scenes, and here's a big moment, I think. But you know, that's hard work. That's real work. That's what playwrights do. So it was nice to be compensated, as well as, and then it went on to be a full commission for production. But before that point, just to go, this isn't just the free stuff that we do, which I think so much of especially for those playwrights who don't have those relationships, you do a lot of work before you hit send or submit, and that should be acknowledged as well. A great work that's going on, you know, years sometimes before we actually get to hand it to anybody.
Could you talk, maybe you don't have to do it now because it might be, keep a list running in your head of some of the bright spots for you in terms of literary offices that have really piqued your interest or served, supported you well as a writer. Liz, what's the literary office to the public?
Well, I mean, for me, in terms of what I spend most of my time on, I feel like it's two parts. I feel like, it's reading scripts, so I tend to only have time to read one script a day. But going out and sort of the general scouting, since we're in New York, there are tons of readings to go to, so it's going to readings or making sure other people from my office go to the readings if I'm not going, and making sure we're covering what we should be covering in New York and requesting scripts that sound interesting that I'm reading about in some context that are happening outside of the city and keeping up relationships, often meeting with writers I don't know or having a sort of catch-up meeting with writers I do know but haven't seen in a while, or meeting agents I don't know or catching up with them, and a lot of that sort of thing, and getting back to people about plays once we've read them and considered them. And then I also run our emerging writers group, so just the administration of that takes up a lot of time, and I do a lot of trying to get the work of those writers out into the industry, so that also takes up a lot of time as well.
And that's as literary manager that you're...
Oh, yes, definitely. So I feel like the general literary office and the emerging writers group are sort of the two general baskets for my time. But then the other full-time employee is very much part of the literary office is our artistic associate, Jesse Alec. And he certainly does a lot of script reading and keeping in touch with artists in the same way, and he does a lot of work on the emerging writers group. But then he also has other parts of his job, like running the post-show discussion series we have for our public lab shows, which is something I used to do, and then when that job was created, it moved over there. And he works on our public forum series and does a variety of other things. And then we also have other people who plan our readings and workshops.
Are those people in the literary office? They're in some other?
I would say, technically not, but I think we all know there's obviously a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
And there are, it's certainly not just the people who work physically in the literary office for us who are covering shows and reporting back on them, and the whole artistic staff. At a certain level, will get involved in reading a script and having an opinion on it. And the person who's planning our readings and workshops, there's obviously a lot of overlap between what she's doing in the literary office.
Madeline, your job, your title's not literary manager.
Not anymore.
Yeah. What is it now?
Now it's director of the ground floor and resident dramaturg.
And so a big smile and a big laugh. Talk about that.
Yeah. So I think, is it fair to say that people at this table have two people in your literary office? Like, I have been the literary office myself since I've been at Berkeley Rep. So I've been the literary manager and the dramaturg, and that's been a giant issue because my day was largely taken up with stuff relating to the season. So the script piles just piled. They just kept going. And so Berkeley Rep just opened a new play development center called the Ground Floor. I've become the director of that new play development center, which is something I'm thrilled about and so excited about. And when we were making this transition, we had long conversations actually related to the submission policy when your announcement came out, twittering, talking. And we really thought hard about what we wanted and what was right for us. And it became clear that it was important for us not to close submissions. So we went through all the arguments, that make perfect sense to us about, are our letters genuine? Are we really helping people? Are we leading people on in a way that isn't fair? Are we, and despite all of the flaws in the system, we feel like, something Tanya was saying yesterday about what is our responsibility to our community, we feel really strongly that that is a point of access for playwrights, that if we shut that down, we don't know what else to offer them, and we don't have a better alternative, and so we just sort of think that that's an important avenue to keep open, even despite all of its potential for falseness, and we do our best to mitigate that. So with that, we decided that it became very clear that we needed help in the literary office, so we've hired a literary associate And her job now is largely to deal with the script pile. And I'm a little nervous about that because I feel like that's a finite amount of time that she's going to be excited about that. Because like we all know, like the amount and volume of scripts that you're reading, they're not all going to be fantastic. And we're very excited when we find ones we like, but reading scripts that we don't like is a little challenging. So we'll see what that turns into in the future because I'm hoping to keep her interested and growing. That's her job. My job now, I actually get to focus on work that we're doing, which is great, and I'm thrilled about that. So, I mean, I'm in the middle of, we're building a program, so I'm thinking about things like, what does the website look like, the ground floor is funded by a grant from the Irvine Foundation largely, and also some Mellon money and some other bits and pieces. And one of the stipulations of the grant is this audience relationship piece of it, which is actually a really tricky thing because ground floor is about process. We have no, the big centerpiece is our residency lab in July, and we have no requirement that anybody do anything public, so we're not having a reading culmination at the end, we're not inviting people from around the country, we're not having a professionals weekend, we're not doing anything like that because we feel like it changes the process, and we would like playwrights to just be where they are. So if people want an audience and they are ready to hear response, then we're going to give them an audience. But if they don't, that's fine. So the questions are becoming, how do we communicate what we're doing to interested people, and how do we talk about something that's in a very nascent stage? And if for some reason the writer wants to keep it private, how do we get people interested and understanding the process of what it takes to get something from that tiny idea to a production somewhere down the line, maybe at Berkeley or maybe somewhere else. And I'm finding this very challenging, so if anybody has thoughts like that.
And are you the supervisor of the literary office? Is there a literary associate and someone else and you now?
There's a literary associate, a fellow, and me.
A fellow.
Yeah.
Who's also probably doing a lot of reading.
Correct. So yes, I am the supervisor.
And then the pieces that relate to this audience engagement around what's on the season, are those also in the literary office?
Those are also in a place of flux that I'm hoping to iron out in the next little while. They've actually been living with the marketing department only because I couldn't do it. I just didn't have time. And no one's really been particularly happy with that. The marketing department's done a great job, but they're very aware that they don't have access to the art the way I do. And they don't have access to the actual people making the art, so the intentions behind it, the how it gets created, those kinds of questions, they just can't really take ownership of, even if somebody tells them the answer. And that's been a little tricky. So we have somebody who's sort of, she's our multimedia manager, which is
a marketing position.
Is a marketing position. But she's starting to be our connectivity person, and she and I are now working together to do things like pre-show music, lobby displays, that kind of stuff. So it's now living in a joint land, which I think is going to work really well.
I'm curious, well, let's get a couple other things, and then I don't have to call on you. Jump in when you have the thing to say, okay? But Jojo and Patrick are both at the table. They're both NNPN folks.
And John.
And John? Oh, wow, NNPN at the table. What's happening for your member theaters, and are you functioning as a literary office for the member theaters?
So we have 25 theaters across the U.S., and the smallest one is 2 staff members, Kitchen Dog in Dallas, and I guess Orlando and Woolly are probably one of our largest members. So it's sort of this wide range of theaters, and we've had these. Jason, who's in Australia and sadly could not be here, likes to call it a collaborative literary management. So we have various programs that allow the sharing of scripts. So we have an online reading room where any member can sort of upload and download scripts and share ones that they're excited about. We have a national showcase each year where we have 6 world premiere readings of brand new scripts where people can share it that way. We have an MFA Playwrights workshop with the Kennedy Center every summer. So it's all of these sort of various programs that are pipelines to each other. And then sort of our flagship program is the Rolling World Premiere, our continued Life of New Plays Fund. So 3 world premieres within a year. So the play has 3 separate audiences and 3 separate design teams and builds momentum to have a continued life after it. So sort of through those programs, we have a literary management that all of the staff members, and I guess the 2 of you can jump in at any time.
No, you're doing just fine, Susan.
Thanks. But the hope is that we're going to have some sort of system in place within the next year or 2 that we have more of a online database for this collaborative literary management, where we're not taking any power away from the individual literary managers or dramaturgs, and they, of course, would maintain those relationships with their playwrights. But, I mean, sort of what it seems, a lot of people are talking about this idea of replication, that a theater, Marin Theater in San Francisco is reading a lot of the same scripts that Interact in Philly is, and so rather than having them read the same scripts, we have sort of an online database where you can gather reactions from a couple people and then use that to sort of winnow down which ones you want. And I think the strength of NNPN is that there's only 25 of us, and so you really know the aesthetic of the other theaters. And so through our programs like the National Showcase, you get excited about a script and then spread it to somebody else who you also think would do it, which is why the Rolling World Premiere works really well.
So we talked yesterday a bunch, and it keeps coming back here as the primary role, the reading of the scripts, and that seems to be the biggest time spent for most of you, and moved by what you said about we don't know what else to offer, and so what we do is mitigate the potential for lack of authenticity there. I guess what's the state of your hearts around the reading that's happening? Is it where you're on fire? Is it the grunt work? Is it what, Delana, you have?
Yeah, I mean, so at Company One in Boston, we don't have a literary office. I very forcefully advocated when I joined the staff, which, by the way, it's a professional theater. It's a small, mid-sized company, but we have a staff of under 15 people, and we all do this professionally, but it's all unpaid, so it's all professional volunteer, which I think is a big surprise to the people in our community, because all the money that we get goes into the productions, and some small amount of it to marketing. So when I came on last spring, there was a desire from the company to be more fully dramaturgical as a practice across the staff. And so I came in and created we don't have a literary office, we have team dramaturg. It's me and 5 young pre-professional dramaturgs, and they make up a reading committee, in addition to being production dramaturgs on season shows and being in charge of populating and brainstorming around audience outreach events. Our theater is really mission-driven around social and civic issues, aiming to put theater on Boston stages that reflects the multiplicity of communities in Boston. So we don't do a lot of plays with white people, essentially, because a lot of other theaters in Boston do that. So we try and do things that reflect the other communities that don't get represented. As a result, the plays that we read a lot of great plays that we aren't going to do because they're not mission specific. And so the way that we've kind of tried to deal with how do we get the plays we're interested in, how do we reach out and find things, is that my dramaturgs, my young pre-professional dramaturgs, comprise a reading committee. And we use the literarymanager.org software. I don't know if anyone else here has heard of that. It's really great. It's a software system. It's hosted online. And you upload plays, and you give all your readers account login information, and you can assign your readers to certain plays and give them a due date, and they get reminders that get sent out from the website, and all of the reader reports are hosted right there, and you can look at them all, and you can see like 3 different readers may have read one play, and then those readers can also get interested in other plays that are in the pile, depending on what they've seen and what they've read before.
And is it your pile, or is it the general pile?
It's the general pile. It's the pile of plays. We share the task of finding scripts between myself, our artistic director, and our sort of associate artistic director, and then my literary assistant, who's one of my dramaturgs on my team. And so all of us are sort of looking widely at things. We're sort of keeping our ear to the ground, and we're pulling things in from all over the place, and they go into our pile. We have in the past accepted unsolicited submissions. Right now we're in the middle of refining our policy, so we put a bit of a hold on it. But one thing that we probably will keep from our previous iteration of that is that people weren't just allowed to submit a play, they had to fill out an application that asked them to talk very specifically about where they felt their play matched our mission. Because we were getting a lot of plays that weren't mission specific, and we are a really tiny company. And I don't want to spend my life reading the slush pile. I have other things, like I've got production dramaturgy and doing big thinking and season planning and all kinds of other stuff. So we have been asking playwrights to bear the brunt of talking to us about why they want to work with us, rather than just sort of that machine gun strafe effect of like, I'll send my play out to 20 theaters and hopefully one of them will bite. We don't have enough capacity to deal with that. So right now we're in this place where essentially we have a lot of people doing the literary work and we have no literary manager, which I'm really enjoying because I don't want to be the literary manager. I spent a long time as a literary manager, like Madeline did, of a one-person literary department at a major regional theater, and it was soul-sucking in a way that I can barely describe. So, I think this stuff around like, you know, how do you deal with the pile and how much do you spend reading? Oh man, I mean, I spend a lot of time reading, but I'm reading stuff that is more curated.
Along with what she said, we allow our playwrights to self-select in a way based upon our mission. We look for plays that are about historic events, persons, advances in science in particular, and that tends to limit how many plays come in the front door to begin with.
So that you allow them to self-select. They can decide whether to send to you or not.
We have an open submission process, and I don't want to shut that door. We find a lot of our writers through the open submission process, in particular mid-career writers, Kathleen Cahill, Bill Downs, William Missouri Downs, for example, are 2 writers. Bill we just had his play, The Exit Interview, in the Showcase 2009 for NMPN, and so far we have 6 theaters on board for Rolling World Premiere through that. And that was an open process that brought that play to us.
How many scripts are you reading are coming through that self-selecting?
We do the 10-page. We do the 10-page thing, myself and my associate artistic.
So people are submitting 10 pages.
Yes, and bio and yada yada that, you know. And we ask for a cast list breakdown so we can see if it's even doable. And Mark Ruthier, my associate director of new play development, and I split that reading of those initial submissions, and then we asked. So we usually get between 200 and 300 of those, and that's really kind of doable, you know. And that's not a huge amount of an initial submission for 15 pages total each between the 2 of us, and then we ask for full submissions. We ask them to submit those electronically, and then we actually sort of farm them out to the staff, and we have a checkout system, and we have all that, so we track them and know where they all are, and we have certain staff members we know we can trust. We have certain staff members that we go, I better look at that one, and that score, I look at all of them when it's not something that we directly look at. But something else I wanted to mention too, and this is about NMPN, which I think is really important, is that we also have an import-export policy with NMPN. So in terms of being our own literary department, we are expected within, I think, is it 3 years, to either import or export a play from another member theater. So in that way, we also keep the ball rolling.
And a vast majority of the theaters import and export at least 1 a year, if not more. And
Ritha, you're on the hot seat because I'm not talking about it. the closed submission at Arena, how many plays are you reading a year or in the literary office? Next person is
Well, it's an interesting question for me too, because I think so much of this conversation is very specific to an organization's mission and vision of what they're doing, and because at Arena we do also focus on a great deal on kind of classics, whether they be lost classics or classic musicals, and making them contemporary. There's kind of a split of the reading as far as new work, as well as many classics that I certainly have not been as familiar with, and I'm trying to dig through. So I mean, it's very hard to say a number, just because I think that it certainly happens as part of the rolling season planning process and my kind of continual investigation of it, but so much of the work now has been dedicated to kind of this relationship with the audience and the engagement of the work at hand. And I really love what Madeline said about kind of being able to focus on the current work of the season in a way, because I feel like that's broadened as far as having more dedication in for each show, for what the dialogue is with the audience, and then also the piece of institutional dramaturgy as far as what's the dialogue with the staff. And so I think that has increased. So numbers? I don't know if I can give
Is it 10?
It's definitely more than 10. Yeah, no, I'd probably,
hundreds?
I'd probably say 100, if not, a little more than that.
Submitted, of plays, new plays?
Well, new plays and of lost classics and classics together. Yeah.
So I have a question, maybe Lauren, for you. We talk about this, the pile, and it has a lot of different monikers. How does it feel to you to hear about the pile?
I'm very glad you asked that, David. I tell all of my students, and anyone who would bother to ask me, but also colleagues, we don't really submit in that fashion to institutional theaters, because kind of why? I submit to Madeline because Madeline is a friend and a colleague, and I trust her opinion. And I submit to Pat because Pat knows my work. But it's not like I'm just going to send it to Steppenwolf and go, I can't wait for them to respond. When there are such incredible, specifically designed new play development institutions. So submit to O'Neill, Ojai, Sundance, on and on and on. And a lot of these institutions, of course, all of you know, have development programs within. So if you're not submitting to ground floor, which that is an open submission development, that is an entry point that they say, please knock on the door. Whereas the other ones, it's like, oh God, we love you, please don't put the pile there. So I'm not afraid of the pile because I don't find myself in it in that way. I think when I find myself in connecting with new theaters, it's either recommendation, Madeline tells Liz or something, and we start a conversation, or my agent will set up a meeting when I'm in a new city, and I'm like, oh, I've always wanted to meet the folks at Old Globe, or I've always wanted to meet the folks at et cetera. And then I start a personal relationship with them and just ask them specifically, what are you excited about? What's going on? I don't even try not to talk about, I want to know what's up there, because each institution is so different personality-wise. And it is based on relationships. Again, that's what I keep thinking, is like, the pile doesn't really do that much good. Now, Pat's one of the few people that I've said that I've heard that has found new relationships out of that pile, but everywhere else, it's like, let's talk about a new idea, or meet at the O'Neill and on the porch, or in the swing, or on the bonfire. Those conversations seem to be more productive than I'm going to submit those 10 pages.
We can't be friends with every writer, but we can be friends with a lot of writers. And we were talking about this last night in terms of letting playwrights be their advocates for other writers.
Dramaturgs
and as well. And Steve Yockey I told this story yesterday, was so kind as to recommend Lauren and Ross Maxwell, another writer that actually is a friend of yours as well, to us, and to his detriment, because they got accepted into our festival last year, and Steve did, and he was really pissed off that we brought him. He wasn't pissed off. He was thrilled for you guys. He really was.
But no, it's true. That's my favorite thing to talk about, besides new play structure, which I love to talk about, is other plays and playwrights that I adore, and that I'm secretly jealous / inspired by those writers. And I think it's a good thing to ask playwrights, who are you excited about? Who are you reading? So I think you might find some new exciting stuff.
But don't we, I don't know, don't we owe something as theaters to the writers who don't have the benefit of being far enough along to have that privilege? I think you have you have a definite privilege, which I think is amazing, and also is shared by a lot of playwrights, which is those personal connections. And certainly as somebody who works as a dramaturg, I so value those personal relationships with playwrights because that's how I figure out what's going on. But I also feel like if I can't find a way to get access to the playwrights who don't have other entry points, and I can't find a way to do that in an organized fashion that makes it not onerous for me so that I don't end up hating those unnamed playwrights who keep sending me their work. Like, I don't know yet how to figure out the best way to do that.
But that's the O'Neill, and that's the places that say, please send us your stuff, and we'll read it blind, and
So
we
is
don't
your
care what your
argument
bio is.
that
Submit there. I tell
playwrights
everybody.
shouldn't submit to theaters, they should only submit
Here
to
are 10
theaters?
websites of places that say submit, 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 submit. Don't bother sending it to the Alliance or the major Laureate theater in your city. Send it to those places. And because it's not just there's an open submission policy, it's because y'all know what you're doing. Like the point is to find those new voices. And I didn't have that privilege when I was growing up in Atlanta. My job, I will submit to Bay Area Playwrights every year, and O'Neill every year, and I'll submit to all of these places, and that's where I started those earliest relationships, was in that context.
You know, I'm now also the casting director at Orlando Shake, so I really am oriented towards people. I see people as people and not, you know, a script or a headshot and resume. And we have it's an open casting call as well. And every year I find new people in that way too. It's not just agent submissions, or it's, you know, I like the idea of there's got to be a way to control the floodwaters, but also, you know, quality will rise, and that's how the opportunities arise too, I think.
We're going to need to break out here in a couple minutes, but I need to get 2 more questions on the table. So bear with me, and if I cut you off because I got it out in the air and I want to keep going. But soul sucking comes up. And I wonder, people talk about it somewhat in the past sometimes, or like Madeline, you talk about you have a new job and you light up. Is that a condition of the literary office that we just have to accept as endemic to the literary office? What's the soul-sucking thing? Yeah. Do you have a...
Well, I guess I just feel the opposite. I mean, I feel very fortunate to work at the public, and I think a lot of the fortunateness in relation to the literary office is having enough staff to read all the piles. So I think for me it hasn't been soul-sucking, and I still have faith in the pile. But I can imagine many situations in which it would be, and I understand.
So maybe it's a thing where part of what you're talking about, Lauren, is find the places that have faith in the pile and engage there.
I love
and
that.
There are places, and for all sorts of good reasons. That theater is called the Public Theater. The Job of O'Neill, the Sundance, Ohio. You named some of them.
I think that the soul-sucking comes when the pile is disconnected from the artistic director.
Yeah.
And then when the pile is disconnected from the work that you're actually doing in the theater. It is about faith in the pile, because if you feel like stuff that you read is gonna actually has an avenue to go somewhere, then you have that energy. But if you know that what you're reading is never gonna go anywhere and you're just doing it in a bubble, I think that's where the soul-sucking comes.
Is there also, so we didn't talk at all about this as a sprawling set of responsibilities. This is really focused on a very small set of responsibilities, not that they're not overwhelming in terms of how much work it is. Is it not the case that the role of the literary office is blurry and sprawling?
I think in our theater, well, as I said, no literary office, but the dramaturgical team, there is a lot of sprawl, but it's by design. So it's because we want that sprawl, because we're trying to create a dramaturgical sensibility within the company as a whole that moves out into all the departments. And I've been really lucky that the staff I work with at Company One has been really, they instigated that. They brought me in to do that, as opposed to me sort of knocking on the door and sort of demanding that there be dramaturgical sensibility. But as a result, it also means that, as I said, I have 5 pre-professional dramaturgs, one of whom is in charge of outreach, one of whom is in charge of literary, one of whom is in charge of sort of being
outreach
the staff
to the audience, or outreach to the theater?
Community outreach. and the cultivation of events that are outside of the walls of the theater, so like out in the community. So there is a ton of sprawl. And we do like a lot of video work as well these days, thanks to Raphael, who inspired us last summer at LMDA. Way to go. And I mean, so there's a lot of stuff we're doing, but I think it makes us stronger, and it actually makes the reading that we're doing more specific. Like when we're reading through the submissions, because the entire reading department is in charge of all of this sort of dramaturgical work of the company and the community. It means that every single person who's reading feels really connected to mission. And so we're doing way better, I think. We're reading more slowly now, but I think we're reading more fully. So.
You're sprawling, Amrita. Is that just my fault?
I'm totally sprawling, yes. No, I think there's definitely a lot of sprawl, and it's been very interesting to kind of navigate, because I feel like so much of it is in this experimental phase that we're really kind of testing all of these things out that we either kind of, imitate or steal from other companies and thank them for it, or we're kind of working on our own. And it's been exciting for me to at least kind of see the different kind of dimensions in which dramaturgy can permeate in that sense. But I do think what's really interesting about this whole conversation that we keep on getting back to is this notion of kind of the scarcity and abundance of the office, and how that can pertain to the overall support of the mission and the vision. Because I definitely agree that I think being, in an office with, you and Aaron, and now we have, Laura and other, fellows and interns that are populating it, which is awesome. But I mean, to try to manage kind of, the notion of open submission policy with all of the engagement, with all of these different things, when you have, a few people or a handful of people trying to dictate that, I think, for me, it was more of a, following a direct choice of, well, let's try something that we feel our energy really gravitates towards, knowing that it does maybe, lose something in the process, but feels more connected to the mission and the vision of what, where Arena is at this time. But it is a curiosity of mine as far as if you were to have more people just generally kind of in this, dramaturgy literary staff, could we accomplish everything, or is there still an issue as far as all
John,
that?
at Willie, you birthed a new department to do it. And so it's the way you're dealing with sprawl by creating another department.
We are, and I mean, in creating that other department, Miriam and I, in early, a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now, had conversations about having to give up some things that I feel like we were both a little territorial about, that we thought that, that clearly falls under the responsibilities of the dramaturg and or literary manager. Mostly dramaturg, I would say, in retrospect now. But in doing that, I feel like we have freed ourselves a little bit and been able to go deeper in terms of what both of our responsibilities are within the artistic department in terms of season planning and rehearsal room responsibilities and all that kind of stuff. But I will say that, yeah, we have purposely at Woolley made a point, I think, of not drawing lines in the sand and saying, this is your job, this is my job, and go. I mean, it's more about the blurriness is okay, and that we've all had to come to terms, I think, with that, and we've all had various levels of comfortability with that as well.
Okay, let's go to the first breakouts. You guys, you have on your card what group you're in. So the questions on the table about whether or not the function of the literary office is sprawling, and if it is that something that needs to be addressed. The nature of the pile and submissions in particular. I'd love to hear from the playwrights about your relationship to that pile and that process. And the sense of the balance of time, and pulling into it a little bit what we talked about yesterday about the origins and the role of the literary office. Where are we